The following video presents unusual happenings I have personally observed at Woodrow Wilson High School in Tacoma, Washington. The purpose of this video is not to allege criminal activity on the part of any individual, but to generate questions. Working in a high school classroom, days can go by in a blur of students coming in and out, assignments being corrected, and lessons being taught. The day moves at such a fast pace, it can be hard to pick up on the details. In fact, it wasn't until around November of the 2019-20 school year that I realized something peculiar was going on in room 231. Throughout the prior and current year, I had been feeling ill, and I also had seen students reporting to the nurse more often than usual. But I had just chalked it up to a bad flu season, until I realized that the only time the students and I seemed to be feeling ill was when we were in classroom 231. While in that room, I was seeing an unusual number of students complain of headaches, dizziness, nausea, extreme fatigue, severe anxiety, and some would get inexplicable bloody noses. While it wasn't every student every day, it was more than usual, and enough that I noticed a pattern of their complaints aligning with my own similar symptoms, which included an inability to concentrate, confusion, and tinnitus. I couldn't help but wonder if there was something in the room causing this. Of course, I dismissed this at first. After all, what could possibly be different about that room that would make us sick when other rooms didn't? Logically, this was just a matter of coincidence. Then I noticed a peculiar mark on the window. At first, I thought a student had drawn a smiley face on the glass with their finger, but closer inspection showed it was a cluster of concentric rings, not a design I would expect a student to doodle on the window. It wasn't easy to see the marks. The sun had to shine through the window in a certain way, and you had to look at it from just the right angle. Anyone just walking into the room wouldn't see it. I decided to try to photograph it. At that moment, my boss walked in and gave me a puzzled look, so I pointed at the ring and asked him if he could see it. He said, "Oh yeah, I see it. I'm just surprised that you spotted it." His response seemed odd to me. Being surprised that I spotted it seemed to imply he knew it was there before I did. But he was my boss, so I brushed it off. We agreed it was probably a window washer suction cup, or maybe a trace from the suction cups they used when placing the glass in the window when they built the school some 50 or 60 years ago. Neither of those theories seemed plausible to me, but I just did my best to make him think I didn't have any further interest in it. But I did, and with good reason. Over the next few weeks, more and more rings showed up on the window. Almost every day when the sun would shine through the window at that perfect angle, I could see what appeared to be a new ring. I felt like I had to be careful not to let my boss see me inspecting them. I was afraid of what he might think, or that he might dismiss me from my position, and I really needed the job. One day I was sitting at my desk and I was hit with the familiar sick feelings. This time, instead of coming on gradually throughout the day, it was strong and sudden. I looked out the window and my eye caught on one of the rings. This time I spotted movement on the other side of it. Focusing through the middle of the ring, I could see a person at the other end of the building, leaning out of a window, pointing something at me. I knew this was strange, so I grabbed my cell phone to record it. When I did, I couldn't get it to focus on the person before the battery instantly drained, but there was enough juice to capture them slipping back inside and shutting the window. I started to keep my eye on that side of the building. I also brought in some equipment to take measurements. I didn't know what these measurements might mean, but I hoped someone else might. Watching that side of the building, I would see this thing. It would show up in different windows on different days. It just looked like a white blob, but it appeared to rotate. I didn't know what it was, but considered it might be causing the circles, as more circles were developing on the windows, to the point it looked like a big sloppy mess smeared on the glass. I tried to wash one off one day when my boss left the room, but it seemed to mostly be on the outside. On November 24th, 2019, I decided I wanted to get a better look at that white rotating blob. There was a bathroom down the hall that was closer and positioned at the same angle in the building as the room I was in, so I headed there with my cell phone to see if I could get a better look. I couldn't see anything from the bathroom window, so I decided to go to a staff workroom I knew of that wasn't used for much more than storing broken chairs, used books, and old equipment. Not much bigger than a walk-in closet, I entered the room to see if it might somehow offer a better view. Dear God. Please. Notice how these books are stacked to the level of the bottom of the windowsill, and there isn't anything to the right side of the window. When I entered the workroom, it seemed very humid and damp, as if someone had just taken a shower. The window was fogged up. Condensation was thick, especially near the top, except for where I could see a very clear imprint of what looked like a radiation symbol with a circle around it. It appeared that something had been airlocked to the glass while the condensation formed around it. This imprint was the same height from the windowsill as the circles on the classroom window, which happened to be a straight line from the middle of this imprint. There was no question that this was the origin point of the circles on the classroom window. However, this was a fixed window and not the same window I had seen someone leaning out of, nor was it one I had seen the white blob in. I pointed my camera at it, but I could see in the viewfinder that the camera was not able to focus on the radiation mark. Even though I could see it perfectly clear and couldn't miss it, like the circles on the classroom window, the sun needed to be shining through it just right in order for the camera to pick it up. And the sun was not cooperating with this one. I hoped some filters and processing might bring it out later. I didn't get much of a chance to try filming it at different angles, though, because seconds later, the woman I had seen leaning out the window a few days earlier came flying into the room behind me. She impatiently asked me what I needed. Well, I had no reason to be in this room. There was no reason I could not be in this room. There was a landline phone in there, so I told her I needed to make a private phone call. This upset her a great deal. She flung her arms around while claiming she had to make copies. She said she needed 2 copies, and she needed them right now. She could not wait. It was clear I was a big problem for her. She added that she would not listen to my phone call. She started pushing buttons on an old copy machine I thought was broken that sat near the door. Her behavior was disturbing and a little threatening. I dialed a number I knew I would be forgiven for calling and made a lame attempt at having a private conversation. She proceeded to push buttons on the machine, and because I had thought it was broken, I was surprised when it responded with lights moving back and forth under the lid as it clicked and clacked, but I noticed she hadn't put any paper in it, and there wasn't any paper coming out. I didn't get the pictures of the window I wanted, and I haven't been able to return to that workroom. Since then, there's always been someone or something standing between me and the room. It's been barricaded with wet floor tents or hallway closed signs, while janitors can be seen cleaning something up in the background. I've seen faint clouds of what smelled like burning metal billowing from the room, and when I asked a staff member who was standing outside the room, ushering students right through the strange smelling stuff what it was, they blamed it on the cafeteria. And the cafeteria is an entirely different building. I've also seen a Pierce County police officer guarding the door. Always blocked by staff activity, barricaded with wet floor tents or hallway closed signs, I just couldn't get another chance to look at that window unless I could come up with a really good reason to go in there, and well, there just wasn't one. On Thursday, the 12th of December, I set up a way to observe that window from the outside looking in. That same day, I was feeling as sick as ever in the classroom. The symptoms that bothered me while I was at work most days were hitting me full strength. Near the end of the day, my boss gave the students some free time. 2 students walked up to the window and started to take selfies. They were talking about how the brilliant sun made their complexions look so good. The sun was shining brightly through the window, so I thought it might be a good time to see if there were any new rings. I picked up my cell phone to catch some video of the window. This is that footage. This is not filtered or enhanced. I couldn't see the green stuff with my naked eye. I couldn't see it in my viewfinder. It showed up when I played back the video later. At first I didn't know what to make of it, so I did some research. I'm going to take a snapshot of that right there and hold on to it for later comparison to what I found in my research. First, let me show the video from the outside of the workroom window. This is the outside of the school. Here's the red W. This window here is the window we're looking at. This is the Woodrow Wilson ram head logo. You see that here. When I show you the close-up still frames, this is that ram head logo. Hopefully that is helpful for your perspective as I show you these zoomed in frames. And I'm going to go ahead and leave this up in the corner. I have applied a filter to lighten up the inside of the room a little bit, and I have zoomed in. Keep in mind that the camera is at an angle to the window. It's not straight on. It's about 200 feet away and at ground level. The window is on the second story, so everything is a little bit distorted. But you can see what appears to be a white barrel. It is located where it would align with the circles and imprints I saw on both the workroom and the classroom windows. Remember, the books are stacked to the level of the windowsill, and there was nothing to the right side of the window, nothing that would explain what we are seeing here. Let me show you what I think might be going on. Rings or donuts. A lot of what can be seen sputtering out of this barrel appears to be ring or donut shaped. I believe they are plasma, and here's why. I found this video from the Office of Naval Research partnering with Michigan University. This is old information, but it shows what firing a plasma ring looks like. This lines up with what I see sputtering out of the barrel in the workroom window. That naval research visual led me to look for a cross-section of plasma, which led me to this GIF. Once I saw the plasma cross-section, I compared the slots in the circles on the classroom window to the plasma holes in the GIF. I know it's hard to see the photos because of the lighting, but there are slots exactly like what you see in the plasma GIF. It's like I may have snapped this photo while they were running their machine. I say that because look how the donut holes glow orangish or look heated. Maybe that would explain why everyone who entered the room would always complain that it was too hot. I pulled this frame because it's a good look at the plasma. Compare it to what we can see in the GIF. Plasma donut hole here, plasma donut hole here. I compare that to the snapshot that I saved from the green haze in the classroom, where you can see what appear to be plasma donut holes. Two holes. This ties the workroom to the classroom. We see donut holes in the green plasma inside the classroom, which match the plasma donut holes we see being emitted from a rotating barrel and passing through the workroom window. I think radioactive symbol-looking impressions on the workroom window, surrounded with condensation, and the plasma passing through the glass, then the concentric circles on the classroom window, and then even plasma donut particles floating around in the very room where there are over 150 students circulating throughout the day. It's gravely concerning. It's important to understand there are two kinds of radiation. The one we're exposed to every day from the sun, from nature, and then there's ionized radiation. Ionized radiation is a problem. The condensation on the workroom window and the rings on the classroom window indicate ionization. Children who are exposed to high doses of ionized radiation can have all kinds of health problems, from the inexplicable nosebleeds I've seen them get in the classroom, to behavior problems, to anxiety, to fertility problems in their future, as well as their babies may have birth defects. Would they ever think their problems are from their days sitting in a highly toxic classroom at Woodrow Wilson High School? No, why would they? But there's more evidence to this. Scientific glove boxes. A glove box is a sealed container that is designed to allow one to manipulate objects where a separate atmosphere is desired. Built into the sides of the glove box are gloves arranged in such a way that the user can place their hands into the gloves and perform tasks inside the box without breaking containment. This looks like a hand to me, a gloved hand. Now consider when we were in the workroom and you saw the books stacked up to the level of the windowsill. How high up would a person need to be to have their hand at that angle? And that is the actual movement of the hand. It reminded me of what we see when we watch scientists work in glove boxes. I brought this in, I enhanced it with some contrast to show this white thing. It seems to be spewing some kind of steam on the window, and we know that the window was steamy and fogged up when I walked in there. My analysis of the full 6.5-hour workroom video leads me to believe the plasma firing device is set inside a glove box. The glove box is of the portable wheeled variety, which make it so they can get it in and out of the workroom fast when they need to. It also provides atmosphere control and explains the airlock or vacuum seal I saw on the window. Consider how the bright white object in this segment looks like a bright light. And again, it looks like the kind of light that we see in a glove box. This was not on the whole day. It only came on for a portion of the day. This is to show you the actual overhead light. Compare the light in this comparison video I found to the light seen in the workroom window segment. In each clip is a person. Are they wearing welder's goggles? There is one more thing I want to show you. Patrick Skrodsky from Applied Nuclear Science Group at the University of Michigan put together a team to look for patterns of light that were emitted by uranium plasma. Their findings were that plasma has certain fingerprints which can identify different kinds of uranium. This is the sample photo, and this is from the workroom. Notice the nozzle here and the nozzle here with the spray coming out and the spray coming out. Looks strikingly similar to me. And this is where I ask myself, regardless of what this is, does it belong in the middle of a high school? I don't need to tell you that there's no way that this is happening inside that small workroom in the middle of a school, and the school administration does not know about it. Even the ones who haven't been seen guarding the room must know. On one occasion, one employee shared with me she was worried something might happen to the device. She said it was worth over $90,000. At the time, I didn't know what she was talking about. Looking back, I think she must have thought I knew all about it. We can't be sure who is complicit with this activity, and we need to make sure we report it to the top, to those who will not try to bury it because they're complicit. This needs to be reported to the FBI and/or Homeland Security. I am willing and available to answer any questions and to help in any way possible. I am not an expert. I do not know what science, machinery, or devices were being used that were captured in these images. I'm concerned because no matter what path my research leads me down, what I find is scary. I'm concerned that the images captured and presented in this video may represent the cause of the symptoms I'm seeing the students present. I'm worried about the kids' safety, and I decided to come forward with what I know so that the experts can determine the cause. Anything shown, stated, or implied in this video that appears to diagnose, infers knowledge, or attempts to explain what is shown are based on speculation. I am not an expert.